Welcome into Vandy on SI. I'm Joey Dwyer. It's Grant Bacco. Dylan Tovitz ahead of Vanderbilt's matchup with Utah State. Our last minute thoughts. Keep it shorter today. It's an early game. I think a lot of people, myself, if I didn't have to work included, would not be awake this time of day. Tovitz probably also included, but we're here. We're ready to go. Graham, initial thoughts on today?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, early morning, got the coffee already in the system, so, waking up. But look, no, this is going to be a great game. I think, the key is, again, the Vanderbilt defense against the Utah State offense. How do you slow down the Utah State offense? Will they be able to, especially their run game, to force them into passing scenarios, which we will definitely talk about here over the next few minutes. But, big game, non-conference final finale before going to Alabama. Let's roll.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing today for Vanderbilt is intensity and focus, things along those lines. Easy game to sleepwalk through. I don't think it'll be it'll be close to a sellout. I don't think a huge crowd today, or by any means, certainly not their most lively. Vanderbilt's still got to come in and take care of business, though, Dylan. I think a big test of focus and kind of what this team is made of mentally. They've passed every test to this point. Still waiting on one more, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to yell over the music here. We are inside First Bank Stadium. It's very loud music.
Yeah, we got to find a better spot.
We do, yeah. We're working on it, but this is, the gritty outlet. Authenticity.
This is the gritty outlet type of thing, yeah.
But, yeah, Joey, to your point, it's a big game to prove that their focus and their execution, the words Clark Lee has been preaching all year, actually means something. And I think they've given us no reason to believe that it's not true. But we've seen situations in the past where games like this, where teams like Vanderbilt maybe are looking ahead towards the Alabamas and the LSUs of the world, and Utah State is coming in with a mission. They've lost an SEC game already this season. It's the only game they've lost. They're undefeated in their own conference, 3-1. This is, I think you wrote about this, Joey, this is at the very least the third best team they've faced so far, if not better. So Vanderbilt does have to come bring their A game, and I think we're going to see very quickly what kind of game we're getting here. If Vanderbilt really is keeping poised and keeping focused, and all their kind of focus is on this matchup, you're going to see that come out really early. If their heads are a little all over the place, I think we could have ourselves a game on hand. But Vanderbilt is 23.5-point favorites, so all things considered, they shouldn't be all that close in the game. They still have to go out next week.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Like you said, we have no reason to believe they won't come out and take care of business today based off everything they've said and even everything they've told us throughout the week. Jordan Matthews, and again, I don't know if I believe this, told me that he didn't know that they played Alabama next week. Again, take that for
a classic line.
That's a good line. I mean, that's a vet, a guy who's played a lot of college football. McCollum Young, MK Young said that it's one climb at a time. They're saying all the right things. I think they've done all the right things to this point. We'll find out today, though. I think today is a reflection of their preparation. Clark Lee said they watched every 40-yard play that Utah State has had this year, a lot of it due to Bronco Mendenhall's confusion and kind of the scheme he runs and how that affects people.
Yeah.
Graham, what's the key for them to slow that down? You wrote about it throughout the week.
Yeah, of course, the key to slow that down is to stop the run game. The one thing that Vanderbilt cannot do defensively is allow Utah State to get their run game going, because once that gets going, it opens up for those 40, 50-yard plays for Utah State to go down the field. And look, Utah State, they don't pass as much as they run, but when they do pass, it is very efficient. They average about 14 yards per completion, about top 20 in the country at that. So starts with the run game and then forcing the Utah State offense into obvious passing situations to just, again, get the Vanderbilt defense off the field early and often.
Sure, Vanderbilt's offense, I don't think it's going to have as difficult of a day as Vanderbilt's defense will. I think Utah State more explosive offensively than it is good defensively. Former Vanderbilt defensive coordinator Nick Howell still kind of building the culture there, trying to figure out what it's going to be that makes them tick a little bit. That being said, he does know Clark Lee. I don't think he really knows Tim Beck's offense all that well. Joey Lynch was the offensive coordinator while he was here in that 2-10 year. Does know some of Vanderbilt's personnel a little bit, but again, Dylan, it doesn't feel like that's going to be a huge advantage for Utah State. Clark Lee knows Nick Howell just as well as Nick Howell knows Clark Lee, and I know it's before your time, but still, Nick Howell didn't produce great results here. I don't think him kind of being a former Vanderbilt guy really plays much of an effect today.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it means too much. I think it's cool for the storylines for Howell and then for Lee as well. But in terms of game plan and the outcome of the game, it really shouldn't mean much. To me, I mean, we've talked about it. The key for Vanderbilt on both sides of the ball, frankly, is just don't beat yourself. They can't afford these flags, the pre-snap flags, the false starts, the illegal man downfields. This isn't a team that we can afford that. They can afford that against on offense. And then on defense, Graham mentioned, keeping them out of these, or keeping them in these 3rd and long passing situations. And not only do you get them in those situations, but you can't bail them out once you're there. I think they have to avoid those, illegal contact penalties, defensive holdings on 3rd and longs as well. And if they stop the run game, a big showing from the defensive line, Glenn Seabrooks, Linus Jones, Zayden Wood, even a guy like Aaron Bryan, I think that'll be the key for them to come away with a victory. The other thing I think is I wouldn't be surprised if this is Eli Sauer's kind of breakout game. I think we've been waiting to see it a little bit. We do say we had to say that every day. I looked at the stats yesterday. He's actually sneaky been really good. But we still haven't seen the full Eli Stowers takeover game, and it's coming at some point. Maybe he's saving it for next week in Alabama. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're scheming him early. I think there's been an emphasis recently on getting him the ball early in the early drives. And obviously, Diego wants to find him. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on offense. And then besides that, it's don't beat yourself with the penalties and, of course, the turnovers, guys.
Sure, guys, we'll wrap it up so we can go to the box. But a few pregame notes, the most pressing of which, Martel Height walks through the Star Walk with a Paw Patrol backpack on.
That's great stuff.
I mean, that is great stuff.
That is great reporting.
Yeah, thank
Joey
you. I don't think it'll be a great crowd today. I think they'll be more full than they generally be for a game like this, but no announce sellout. The tailgates, the whole lot was pretty dead this morning, honestly. And
I wouldn't be surprised if it fills up pretty well by game time, especially what we saw last week against Georgia State.
Right,
I wrote about it a little bit this week, but there's so much excitement right now that a game an early game against Utah State in the past, like these tailgates would be completely empty and there'd be no one in the stand. Look behind us, you already see some fans. You guys can't really see it, but in the student section filling up. So I'm maybe contesting you a little bit there, but I'm kind of expecting more of a crowd. Maybe not like we saw last week.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be amazing. I also think it's, like you said, it's a lot better than it's been as well. Last thing, Issa Wataha, Dylan asked Clark a good question about it on Thursday. It doesn't appear he'll play today, and I think Vanderbilt is okay with that for now. I think trying to build him back up, so don't expect to see a whole lot of Issa Wataha. We'll see the final word before the game today, but for Joey Dwyer, Dylan Tovitz, Graham Bacco, maybe you won't see Dylan post-game after he contests me. Maybe he's been fired since. I'll call the higher-ups and see what we can do there, but we'll talk soon. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. Catch you after the game.